Hello, and welcome to Old Toy, New Joy, the show where I share with you my previously enjoyed toys I purchased from online sources, thrift stores, and collector shows that once belonged to someone else. I was just at my local thrift store the other day, toy hunting as I often do, and I came across this pack of 1970s comic books. These were actually behind the glass counter where the store now puts its items it considers to be collectible or of higher than average value. Only a couple of years ago, these would have been placed amongst the used magazines for $1 or two. However, I have noticed thrift stores flagging any and all vintage items now, slapping a medium-high price sticker on them and putting them in the showcase display. This is because store clerks and managers have begun realizing that adult collectors such as myself frequent the toy section of thrift stores and other areas of the stores hoping to find hidden gems. Sometimes I do cave and pay the glass counter price. However, most often I shake my head and pass, as the price is usually much too high for the condition of the item. After all, I do my research, and I like to think I am a smart shopper, even when it comes to collectibles. Nonetheless, I paid the $6.99 price for these 3 comic books because I had been curious ever since first seeing them mentioned on one of my favorite toy documentaries, The Toys That Made Us, specifically the episode featuring Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys from the late 1980s and early 1990s. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. In that episode, co-creator Kevin Eastman mentions Jack Kirby as one of his comic book illustrator/writer heroes, and Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, as his favorite comic book series growing up. I had never heard of that comic before, and never seen it until I saw these. But before we crack them open, let's talk a bit about the premise of the comic book series. Basically, a great disaster ravages Earth, forcing post-apocalyptic conditions as highly intelligent animals affected by a fictional stimulant called cortexin is released into the main water supply. In search of other surviving humans is Kamandi, a resourceful teenage boy. The comic book series ran from 1972 to 1978 with 59 issues. However, there have been other versions since. So let's open them up. So we have Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, issue number 8 from August of 1973 for 20 cents. This one is called He Was Trapped by Animals in the Center of Town, and Why Not? It Was Their Town. And on the cover are some cat-like, almost human sort of figures with weapons and matchy-matchy uniforms chasing Kamandi, perhaps Mount Rushmore, I'm not sure. I've never read any of these, so this is exciting. This is a first for me. Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, issue number 6 from June. Captives of the Lion Men. Oh, so they're Lion Men. Okay. And then a later issue, number 44, for 30 cents, from 1976. What do we got here? In the middle of a deadly barracuda attack, Kamandi goes wild. This is almost like that Gorn character from the first Star Trek series. Kamandi and Ben Boxer join the Merchant of Menace. So we're going to flip through the pages of each of these, take a look and see what's going on with the artwork and some of the storylines, see some of the advertisements inside. It should be fun. So here's issue number 6. Pretty cool, very futuristic. I love these bodybuilding ads. Like it's that easy. You'll put on inches of powerful muscles on your body. Really. These are cool. This is a DC comic. I think Kamandi meets Superman and Batman at some point in other versions. These look like, are these 8-tracks? Oh, they're selling 7-inch reels, tape cassettes, 8-tracks, and 12-inch vinyl records of popular music groups. It was 1973 after all, so those were the music mediums. I do find 70s comics in thrift stores. Those are the ones, the Bronze Age, most often. They're always beat up. Heavily read. It had been a little while, though. I remember even as a kid seeing this ad for the little toy plastic soldiers. Now on to issue number 8. Another muscle weight gaining ad. I'm not sure who this guy. Sometimes they'll tell you who the model is, the actual bodybuilder. I don't recognize that guy. There's an ad for Shazam. I was really into Shazam as a kid. I'm not a fan of the recent movies. I don't know what happened to them, but I like the animated series and the comics and the live action show from the late 70s. Some of those funny ads for things such as X-ray specs and joy buzzers, karate classes, exercise gear. I could just sit for hours with a stack of these and read them. Well, I can't. I have a family and I have a job, but if I could go back in time, that's what I would do. An ad for a Daisy BB gun. More advertisements on the back. And issue 44. I really like that cover. I don't know if you can see that. Here's an ad for some Hostess 1976 baseball cards. Steve Garvey, Joe Morgan, Carlton Fisk. I think I have a couple of these cards myself in my collection. As you know from watching the show, I do like my vintage baseball cards. I actually mostly collect baseball cards of African American and Latin American players from the 50s and 60s. It's my niche. And there's a Batman ad. And if you're just getting into Old Toy New Joy, I welcome you and thank you for joining my channel. You have a lot of catching up to do. I have over 130 episodes covering many different things, such as vintage Transformer, G.I. Joe, wrestling action figures, Redline Hot Wheels from the 60s. Pogs. Buck Rogers. There's some comics in there. Old hockey cards. Stuff that I was into as a kid, I really haven't stopped being interested in it. Superhero t-shirts. As a kid, I used to have Incredible Hulk and Batman pajamas. Used to watch all those Saturday morning cartoons featuring Super Friends. Speaking of which, there they are. I had the Mego Pocket Hero action figures from 1979. I got a bunch of those for Christmas, I remember fondly. Here's a cool ad for some model cars. And there's the back. So, thank you so much for tuning in today to Old Toy New Joy, allowing me to share my newly acquired Kamandi, The Last Boy on Earth comic books from the 1970s. If you liked the video, please like the video, and we'll keep them coming. I also encourage you to subscribe to Old Toy New Joy so that you can get notifications of the next video coming up and also get caught up on the several episodes we've already done. Once again, you might be interested in some of the topics. Just cool vintage stuff that reminds you of your childhood. If you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, please do so. I love reading them. Until next time, this is your Toy Whisperer saying farewell from Old Toy New Joy.